I don't want to make a Sony account. I don't trust them. They were right. They were right to not trust Sony. So the Sony network has been down for over 24 hours. It's back up now. How many times can this network get hacked before people realize that maybe they just shouldn't have anything saved on Sony's network? It's a revolving door. But in this article, they're talking about you don't need my email. It's written by Ted Litchfield. So review bombing campaigns are often motivated by half-baked culture war controversies about trans characters, queer developers, or supposed mafias of liberal writing consultants bending multi-million-dollar companies to their will. Starting out real strong, holy Last May, though, we saw a great example of Review Bomb's utility in pushing back on genuine consumer grievances. Helldivers 2 PlayStation Network sign-in requirements. I mean, I haven't actually played Helldivers 2 since then. I haven't touched it. A, I was already kind of getting bored of the game, but B, like, I just didn't want to have to make a damn Sony account. But to be fair to Sony and Arrowhead, it was communicated from the start that such a requirement was meant to be implemented eventually. And at the time, the stakes didn't seem all that high. I feel like the really, really big thing is that Arrowhead did not understand how big this game was going to be. It was a surprise to everyone at the sheer amount of people that were playing this game. When it comes down to it, it really is the Arrowhead CEO's fault. Like putting this guillotine above his head, just waiting to come crashing down because he knew he made a deal with Sony to do this. It wasn't something that came out of the blue. He fully understood that that was a requirement from Sony's publishing. But many players pointed out that the galling exclusion of gamers, oh, that too, I forgot about that. Yeah, because they sold the game in countries that could not have PSN accounts, which was a big oopsie daisy. It's just a big one. It's an honest accident. But Sony has largely surrendered its PSN on PC ambitions. I mean, they've very much given up on it. I think that people just are so vehemently pushing back. Let's call a spade a spade. Much of the backlash was because Sony's requirement was annoying. And the supposed player's protection. Oh, dude, that PR jargon is just like force-fed down your throat of like, yeah, we're going to protect. It's for player protection. We're going to protect you, but we can't protect our own servers historically. But trust us. Felt insulting when the move was clearly meant to force more users into the Sony PSN ecosystem, which then they could sell the data based on all your user habits and make more money off of it. Having to juggle online services you wouldn't use if you didn't have to. Another company insisting on having your email and other personal information is always annoying. But this weekend, we saw firsthand that the issue goes much further than that. And PC gamers' capacity for acting annoying helped us dodge a bullet. Sony's PlayStation Network was completely knocked out for 24 hours, and the company refused to offer an explanation. That's always good. And it tells you that they really respect you. If Sony had held firm on the PSN sign-in for Helldivers 2, it would have been just as borked on the PC as it was on console. Ditto for if Sony had retained its login requirements for single-player games. You could effectively play God of War Ragnarok offline after creating or logging into a PSN account unless you opted for a handy mod. But just like reinstalling a PS5 disk drive, a PSN outage would have prevented first-time setups of something simply that does not require internet connection. Yeah, because we were seeing a lot of that, right? We were seeing a lot of Twitter posts talking about how if they have never paired their PS5 disk drive, that they couldn't do it because PSN had to be active. Still not really sure why they really even needed that. It feels like they're trying to just shoe in PSN on any possible step they possibly could. And now it's kind of biting them in the ass. But Sony does not seem to understand the PC audience. I'd wager it's only being dragged to the platform kicking and screaming by the continued healthy growth of PC gaming and relative stagnation of consoles. I would still account for like 50 to 70% of the people's profitability is still on consoles. While consoles is not growing, it's still profitable. PC usually is a very small portion of any company's profits. But the demand and delays of Sony subjects its PC players smack of concessions to me. A company that believes that it's operating from a place of strength, gracing PC gamers with the essential PlayStation exclusives. Sony definitely does kind of come in and kind of feels a little smuggish, but the truth is that Sony has to win us over. There are too many good games on PC to be shackled to a service whose founding principle is charging players extra to go online with games. One that 14 years ago suffered one of the greatest cybersecurity disasters of the 21st century so far. And I think this right here is such a stain on their reputation for a company that is a Japanese company. Reputation is so important that this is probably like honestly their greatest shame and still haunts them to this day. We don't even know what happened to that PlayStation Network between February 7 and 8 yet, or how thoroughly it may have been compromised. Sony still won't say. That is honestly crazy to me that they won't say how bad it was. What? You won't tell me how compromised I am. Okay, yeah. Here's my credit card information again and my driver's license. And yeah, here's my passport too. Like, just take it all. Like, please, just save it on your server. I feel very secure in that. I honestly, I would not believe Sony anything that they tell us says like, oh yeah, it's not compromised, don't worry. Like, man, I'd be changing every fucking password. I just would not give them any benefit of the doubt. But after reporting on this absolute cluster as it's happened, it's clear to me that mandatory sign-ins to extraneous services like PlayStation Network aren't just an annoyance. They're an odious imposition to being avoided at all costs with genuine risk to the consumer. Yeah, I mean, more servers that have your email, more servers that have your password, more servers that have your credit card information or PayPal. PayPal's safer, right? And I advise everybody to kind of go that route. Even though PayPal is horrendous, but it's still an extra layer of protection. And I just remember like people like giving me shit and people on Twitter, like they're like, what's the problem? Why does it matter? Just don't you already have a Sony account? Why don't you have a Sony account? Huh? Like, it's just make the account. It's like, bitch, I might as well just like post my password and my email on Twitter. And it would probably be as safe as it is on a Sony server. Did you see some jokes about people got Concord added to their accounts since the hack? Wait, are you kidding me? No, that has to be a meme. That has to be a meme. I'm glad the Sony network is back up, but man, I think this is a great example of just why you don't trust companies. Because these companies just don't really protect you like they should. And it sucks, because you think you should be able to trust these people and these companies with your information, but in the reality is you shouldn't, ever.